Okay, so fair warning, before this episode even begins, I've been trying to cut back on my swearing, but I swear a whole lot in this episode. I try to hold back for a little bit, and then I just go off the rails, as you might have been able to tell from the way the title is written. Yes, I get quite unhinged in this. My original intent was just give an update on what's going on in my current sort of video maker's block, and it spiraled off into me complaining about every single stupid thing that's been frustrating me and screaming quite loudly, which includes things like Overwatch being garbage, From Software being so much more than just Dark Souls, screw you Dark Souls fans, and of course my eternal rage at PC gaming. So that is what happens in this Metabble, and I hope you, and also me complaining about SNES Classic and a number of other things. So I hope you all enjoy. This is your fair warning. I don't know, I can't blame you if you don't listen, or it might actually become entertaining to you in the future. Anyway, enjoy. Hey folks, been a while since I did one of these, hasn't it? Yeah, things have been things. I've been dealing with some real life stuff, and on top of that, of course, I do my radio show every week on, the college campus. They're like, hey, this is like one of our top rated shows. People actually tune in for this. Mind you, we're talking about 10 people, but still, 10 people is more than most of the folks who listen to our show. So it's like, hey, that's fantastic. And so I do that every week, and that's pretty much a Metabble that I feel like literally obliged to do, and so I haven't really been doing any actual Metabbles. And I know a lot of people are like, can you upload the radio show as actual, like, can you upload it as a podcast? And I'm like, I would love to. Unfortunately, in some weird twist of fate, there is no, there's no YouTube for audio. There's no YouTube for podcasts. There's no place where I can just upload podcast episodes for free. I could take the audio, slap a random image on top of it, and release it as a YouTube video. That's entirely plausible, but a lot of people actually want to download the literal audio file, and so that way they can listen to it as a podcast. And yeah, there's no way to do that. Like, SoundCloud has limits if you don't pay any money, and I don't make any money off of Game Babble, like, at all. Nothing is monetized, so I can't really upload a podcast anywhere. Now, some people have suggested Google Drive, and I was pursuing that, and someone, I'm really regretting this, the Nintendo College Challenge champion guy actually mentioned that he knew a place to upload podcasts to, but I forget what it was. Unfortunately, I can't really find it. So, thankfully, though, the school has said that they're getting a new system in place, and I'm going to be able to use that to upload episodes like a podcast. And I'm like, good. I do have every single episode except one that I really, really liked that got eaten by the computer system. But other than that one episode, I'll just, like, redo that as a gel rant or a game babble or something. It's one where I talk about the importance of international gaming, gaming from different countries. And I'll be sure to do that as freaking something, okay? But yeah, that episode got eaten. But every other episode, I have a backup of. I can't just raw copy paste it, but it shouldn't take too much to edit them together, because the way the setup at the school works is every time I turn on the microphone, it's recording, and when the microphone is off, it's not recording. And that turns out great, because it means that I don't have to deal with the music, which no one cares about. I don't care about. It's mostly like local rap music. So it'll be funny, because it'll be like, I don't know, coming up next is Country Grammar by Nelly, and then, like, I guess I'll put a video game jingle in there, like, do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and then welcome you back after you, and it'll be very amusing to do that. But yeah, I will have to do at least some minor editing to get those episodes together. But as soon as I have a place to put them up, I will be sure to put them all up, and I would love to do that every Wednesday, to just put them up after the show. But yeah, that's what's going on with that, and as such, you know, I forget to actually update my channel. And actually looking at my channel, it's an effing embarrassment, because it's nothing but stream archives that nobody watches. Like, I'd love to stream some more Final Fantasy XII. Clearly no one cares about that. So I should just ignore that. I will say, though, I'm very happy with the Spark upload. Because, as you might have noticed, after I uploaded it, I re-downloaded it to resync the picture-in-picture and get it perfect. And that was actually really intriguing, because I had tried to sync the, like, when you first turn on your VR headset, it asks you, it asks you, hey, is the space around you clear? And gives you an image from the camera. And I was like, oh, I can use this to sync up the two cameras. But then, come to find out, the VR was actually more responsive than the camera that it was showing me. Which makes sense. More than likely, they're dropping the video quality to rock bottom for maximum responsiveness. And so, yeah, you would get a more responsive feed. So, as you might have noticed, it looks a little out of sync in the video I claim is perfect sync, until you get to the part where I'm dancing around in front of the mirror, because that's what I actually synced it to. And I friggin' love it, because, as I mentioned in the comments, I love actually seeing my one-to-one motions translated in-game into actions. And yeah, it's friggin' fantastic. Now, before I start ranting about other things, I know good old Gene Alcantara left a message when I did the rant about how Splatoon is Pac-Man, and as a lot of people pointed out, that only applies to Turf War, and I forgot to mention that. Like, there's still very Pac-Man-esque elements in the game, even when it's not Turf War. But yeah, Turf War is the main Pac-Man mode, and I don't really care about playing the ranked mode, so that's why that didn't occur to me. And the main reason I brought it up is because I remember launch day for Splatoon, where everyone was like, oh, it's Calamari of Duty, it's Call of Duty for kids, nah. And then everyone I saw was like, the game's slow and boring, and they're using the splatter shot and shooting at their feet. And I was very much trying to explain, like, this is a thing I'd been meaning to do since the beta of Splatoon 1. I wanted to explain that you have to think about Splatoon in a different way in order to fully comprehend it. It's not a standard third-person shooter, and once you recognize that it's a lot more like Pac-Man, and that you're supposed to go fast, that speed is the name of the game, it is a way, way more fun thing. So that's why I did that. Gene Alcantara, he's like, I'd like to hear your thoughts regarding Splatoon 2, Mega Man Maker, and the SNES Classic fiasco. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I haven't messed around with Mega Man Maker. Kind of my deep, dark secret, I suck super hard at Mega Man. I love watching other people play Mega Man, I love Mega Man music, I love the Mega Man universe, but I cannot play a Mega Man game to save my life. I'm not Dean Takahashi bad, but in every Mega Man game, I can beat, like, exactly one boss. Yeah, one boss. I was gonna say, except Mega Man 1, but no, I can beat Bomb Man in Mega Man 1, and I think I can beat Cutsman. But every other Mega Man enemy has, like, a stage, has some kind of really horrible stage gimmick that always gets me. The flippy things right at the beginning of the Gutsman stage are probably one of the worst. The laser beams in Elecman's stage. I'm just super extra ultra bad at Mega Man. I've tried repeatedly to get into it, and I just can't. So I just tag along and watch all my Mega Man fan friends play through the games. Now, as for the SNES Classic fiasco, holy crap, because the problem there is I need it. See, what you might not know is that the Star Fox 2 ROM that's floating around the internet is not the full game. That's not the completed ROM. And sure enough, they've shown some footage, and a few people have their SNES Classics, lucky bastards, and sure enough, it is a different version of the game. Like, what's that guy's name? Dylan Cuthbert. Dylan Cuthbert, one of the main creators of Star Fox, who I have a kind of love-hate relationship with him. Like, on one hand, I don't like his opinion for where Star Fox should go. I think that Star Fox is better off without Dylan Cuthbert. But at the same time, I respect him for all the stuff that he's done throughout the years and being honest and engaging with fans. And, I mean, he seems like a cool dude. I just... Star Fox needs to be a rail shooter. I am very much a guy who thinks Star Fox needs to be a rail shooter, but now I'm going so completely off topic it isn't even funny. Dylan Cuthbert years ago said that when he was working on Star Fox Command, he asked Nintendo for the finished copy of Star Fox 2, and he's like, yeah, no, this is different from the beta that's floating around the internet. There's a bunch of stuff that isn't in the beta that's online. And sure enough, it looks like the copy that's actually in the Super Nintendo Classic is the real Star Fox, is like the real Star Fox 2. And one of the main things to remember, because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, it's practically finished, the one that's flowing around the internet and on all those repro carts. Important thing to remember is that it being in English is a fan translation. Like, that is not an official translation. The original version of that ROM was in Japanese and had a debug option at the bottom. They just removed the debug option, translated the text into English, and put it out there. And yeah, you can see the translation and the text is different in the final game since it is the official original text and translation. And, like, I know the comparison video, some people are like, oh, it sounds like the beta was better, because one of the differences is that the homing shots are not in the full game. They were in the beta, but not the full game. And people are like, oh, well, it sounds like the beta's way better. Okay, important thing to know about that Star Fox 2 beta floating around the internet, it is the easiest thing in the universe. I've never played a game easier. I can beat it on maximum difficulty, no problem, and I'm not particularly good at games. Star Fox 2, the Star Fox 2 beta is effing laughable. And people have confirmed that not only are there a bunch of things that make the finished game, the SNES game, harder, but it has way better enemy AI. So, long story the long story isn't short anymore. Point is, I want a SNES Classic because it has the final, real, official release of Star Fox 2 on it. And you have to remember, Super FX emulation can be a bit wonky. You know, sometimes it runs a little bit too good, sometimes it doesn't run well enough, it can be a little buggy, it has hiccups. And with Star Fox 2, it doesn't matter, because the SNES Classic, that's the official release. However it runs on the SNES Classic, that is the way it is meant to be played, because this is the first true, real, official release, and so I really, really, really want it. And I've actually mentioned that I intended to camp out in front of the store the night before to get my SNES Classic, except that they randomly opened pre-orders in the middle of the day, and instantly sold out in like 5 minutes with no warning. The SNES Classic fiasco pisses me off. The whole fiasco pisses me off. Like, what happened with the NES Classic pisses me off. Cause, like, Nintendo barely shipped any. All stores got units in the single digits. They sold out instantaneously, and I didn't even care that much about the NES Classic. Like, my opinion on the NES Classic was, oh, if I see it on a store shelf for regular price, I'll buy it, but it's not necessary. Obviously, I didn't see that. I was waiting for that to happen, but it never happened because Nintendo didn't inform anyone, oh, this was a limited edition product. It's like, Nintendo, are you stupid? You just made a license to print money that is selling out instantaneously, and you're just gonna say, oh no, it's a limited time product. Like, supposedly, they weren't supposed to continue making them after Christmas, and unfortunately, they've actually said this about the SNES Classic. There will be, according to Nintendo, there is no intention to make any SNES Classics in 2018. After December 2017, no more SNES Classics. They're done, they're gone. You cannot buy Star Fox 2 anymore. Now, it is important to note, yes, the SNES Classic will likely get hacked, the ROM will be dumped, and I will be able to play the ROM, but I do really want to play it on the actual system. I will gleefully pay the $70, $80 Nintendo is asking to play Star Fox 2 on a real SNES Classic, since that is the way it is meant to be played. But I will not be able to do that, because, well, because Nintendo's not going to produce enough SNES Classics. They're like, we'll produce more than the NES Classic. Yeah, but the demand is like quadrupled. Now everyone knows that if you want to make money on eBay, you just buy a SNES Classic and sell it there. Everyone's going to be scalping the thing. The only way this whole fiasco even makes sense is if Nintendo themselves are scalping the systems, except I thought about it, and even that doesn't make sense. Because Nintendo would actually make more money just producing the systems rather than trying to scalp them. The whole thing is a fiasco. It drives me utterly nuts. And you wanna know what the worst part is? The fact that Nintendo is still completely fucking out of touch because, you know, I was trying to not swear, but no, fuck Nintendo in this one. Because apparently the Famicom Classic was, like, produced in somewhat decent numbers in Japan. They produced more Famicom Classics than they did NES Classics. Even though Japan is like a country the size of a single state, whereas the United States is, you know, kind of 50 times the size of Japan, roughly speaking, and yet Japan gets more units. And this is a common problem, because that's what happened with the Amiibos. Anyone who's ever tried to collect the stupid Amiibos knows that this was the case. Because if you wanted an Amiibo, you just imported it from Japan. That was easier than trying to track down the stupid US Amiibos. Yo, they're coming out of the woodworks in Japan, but in America, where they're selling like hotcakes, Nintendo's just like, yeah, we make like small shipments. Yo, hey, here's a product that will only be available at Target, and we're only going to give each Target about 10 of them? I'm so glad I've given up on Amiibos. I'm so like, I'll buy a Maria Amiibo when it comes out, but otherwise no. But looping back around to Splatoon 2, I honestly haven't played too much of it. I'm a little disappointed because the supers are so heavily nerfed. I used the Splattershot Jr. That was my main weapon, and that invincibility shield, that 3 seconds of invincibility was friggin' great. Unfortunately, Ink Shield is trash garbage, and is only good against people who use a Luna Blaster. Because I have my friend who's hardcore with the Luna Blaster, and he finds the Ink Shield to be very annoying. Most people use rapid fire weaponry, and that renders the Ink Shield. The Ink Shield is such trash. Because it takes longer for the Ink Shield to activate than the original invincibility lasted. Yes, it gives everyone a little bit of time-limited extra shield, but it absorbs like 1 or 2 hits, when most guns that people use in Splatoon hit you like 50 times a second! It's useless! Unless you're facing someone with a Luna Blaster, it is useless! And I'm like, what were you thinking, Nintendo? Now, admittedly, I haven't had a chance to use the hamster ball, but I'm really disappointed at how horribly all this stuff has been nerfed. I'm also disappointed because apparently Splatoon 2 got real political real fast. I miss the days of the furry wars, because those were hilarious. Like, some people apparently drew, like, cute little furry characters in there, and people were like, stop drawing furries, which only caused more people to draw furries until they were overwhelmed. Unfortunately, now it's all become political and stupid, while arguing that it's not political. I don't even want to look. Admittedly, now this is the weirdest thing. This is why I waited until now to talk about Splatoon 2. I don't use my Switch as much as I thought I would. Even though it's sort of a dream come true console to me. Even though they are catering so directly to me. I mean, okay. It is the first true US release of Waku Waku 7. It has Puyo Puyo Tetris translated properly into English on it. It has Blaster Master with Shantae on it. You almost couldn't get a more gel-centric system, and get this, they're gonna release a new Penguin Coon Wars for it. If you never played it, Penguin Coon Wars, old arcade game from 1985. Admittedly, I didn't play it when it came out, but I found a website raving about it, and I gave it a chance. It was also released on Famicom and Game Boy, and the Game Boy version did come to America and Europe. European name was Animal Wars. Game Boy version's kind of the best version anyway, because that one lets you play as multiple different animals and has a versus mode. But what Penguin Coon Wars is like a crazy, almost dodgeball game. Basically, you're on one side, other animals on the other side. You have 5 balls. They have 5 balls. The goal is to either get all 10 balls to your opponent's side of the stage, or have the least balls on your side of the stage at the end of the timer. But as you throw the balls, you can angle them. They'll bounce off walls and other balls, and if they hit your opponent, it knocks them down, stunning them, allowing you to throw more balls over there. It is so stupid fun, and part of the problem was the fact that there was no good way to play versus mode. Like, the only way to do versus Penguin Coon Wars was to have 2 copies of the Game Boy game, 2 Game Boys, and a link cable. Well, now we have Penguin Coon Gira Gira Wars coming to the Switch, which has crazy characters, and it's gonna have split screen, and it's gonna have 4-player, and it's gonna have crazy modes with super moves and health bars, and I have no clue if it's coming to America. I don't care if it's coming to America, because I am freaking buying that game. It's just happening. I'm importing it. Like, it's not, that will be when I make my Japanese Nintendo Switch account, because I need Penguin Coon Gira Gira Wars. But weirdly, I have not been playing much of my Nintendo Switch. Now, there was one moment where I was so happy to own a Nintendo Switch, because that's the system I bought Sonic Mania on. And I didn't get enough time to really play Sonic Mania before my show, so during one of the breaks, I was able to whip out my Nintendo Switch, play Sonic Mania on it. I was loving it, and I was like, man, I should have bought this on PS4 so I could play it on my TV. Oh, wait. And then I remembered, yeah, I could just plug this into the dock and play it on my TV, and I'm playing it there on the go. And recently, I had a very funny moment. I was talking to my good friend Mr. White Folks, and I was lamenting the fact that I'm worried about the Switch version of Sonic Forces, and he's like, well, why would you buy it on the Nintendo Switch, other than just to own it on a Nintendo system? And I'm like, so I can play it on the go. The idea that I could have Sonic Forces with me at all times in my pocket and then play it on the TV, that sounds great. If you're wondering, though, some of the early video footage shows that the Nintendo Switch version of Sonic Forces is gonna be fugly. Like, it's the same game, but, like, the texture quality is just trash garbage. And I'm like, ugh, is this gonna run well at least? Is the graphical downgrade gonna be that big? Because, yeah, I haven't had as much money as I've had in the past, thanks to various life situations. So I can't exactly go double dipping and buying a PS4 and Switch version of the game, and I don't know which one I want. I do need to pre-order. That's the biggest problem, because I'm getting that Puyo hat. Have you seen the pre-order items for Sonic Forces? They have a Beat outfit, a Knights outfit, an II outfit, Amate's Puyo hat, and a Persona 5 outfit. I never saw that coming. I'm very amused by that, and I need that pre-order costume pack. That's beautiful. As you've probably noticed, I'm completely on board with Sonic Forces. I'm super excited about it. Because, yes, all of the stupid edginess looks hilarious. I've always liked that element in modern Sonic games. It's like, it's weird, because Sonic is this Felix the Cat-inspired, almost Western cartoon character that keeps going full anime. I mean, he's been going Super Saiyan since Sonic 2, okay? And it's just funny to me. I love the awkward juxtaposition of all of the anime-isms with all the cartoon-isms, and I always love custom characters, and I like the boost gameplay, and it's all great. In fact, that was an episode I was going to do, was me commenting on the fact that I was really frustrated with Sonic Mania, because a lot of people, they're raving about how Sonic Mania is the best Sonic game in 23 years, it's so good, oh, we haven't had a good Sonic game in so long, and it's like, Sonic Generations and Colors and all the Advance and Rush games, they're all kind of, you know, good. And, I was going to comment on that. I have the script completely written up, only to then get smacked in the face by having my YouTube recommendations fill up with videos from actual Sonic fans, talking about how the boost gameplay sucks and we need to go back to adventure gameplay. And I start screaming, because every time someone says they need to make Sonic Adventure 3, I scream. This is because we've already gotten Sonic Adventure 3 twice. Sonic 06 was a flagrant attempt to make a Sonic Adventure 3, and Sonic Unleashed is actually called Sonic World Adventure in Japan, making it a part of the Sonic Adventure series, and thus it is Sonic Adventure 3. On top of that, we've had numerous games desperately trying to recapture the magic of Sonic Adventure. Sonic Adventure 1 was really, really cool for its time. It was a great first 3D Sonic, but it had flaws that Sega desperately needed to iron out. And unfortunately, rather than taking that and improving on it, each subsequent game that Sega made in the 3D Sonic series wound up having more and more flaws, and they couldn't quite recapture the magic of the first Sonic Adventure. I understand the nostalgia and love for Sonic Adventure 1, but there will never be a game quite like it ever again. Sega cannot recapture that magic, and even if they did recapture that magic, it's still incredibly, incredibly flawed. That's why I'm really happy that Sonic Forces is going with the boost gameplay, because it's something that worked, it's something that's fun, it's something most people said, yes, this is good, I am enjoying this. And besides, the video that I saw that, like, bashed the, well, it didn't really bash, but it was a video comparing boost versus adventure gameplay, and I was completely on board until the guy said, fuck the 2D sections. Mostly, not because, like, I totally understand, yes, I'd like to see them expand the 3D Sonic gameplay and flesh that out, except that he completely misunderstands the 2D sections. Because he's just like, oh yeah, this is the way to go, hey, remember how Sonic was 2D, wasn't that fun, but we don't need this anymore, was his argument, and I'm like, they served a bigger purpose than that. The 2D sections are junction points. See, platforming in 3D is... I actually just wrote up a script for this, but whatever. Platforming in 3D is inherently slower than in 2D. That doesn't make it bad. I really love Jak and Daxter. But, yeah, the platforms are always bigger, they have to brace for less precision, and it's generally slower. It's been that way since Mario 64. Like, look at Mario 64, look at the original Super Mario Brothers, tell me the original Super Mario Brothers isn't faster, because it freaking is! All the 2D Marios are faster than Mario 64 or any 3D Mario. That's just the nature of 3D platforming. So trying to get Sonic to platform in 3D is kind of a crapshoot, especially when you start factoring in the physics of it all, and it doesn't work, and I've played Sonic Utopia, and no. That's just the nature it's really hard to do the platforming and exploration with Sonic's general way of playing, his speed and his physics, in 3D. It's hard to make 3D platforming fast. It's hard to make 3D platforming Sonic. Again, especially because of the physics, because in 3D you can fly off in all sorts of stupid directions. Like, you try to do pinball physics Sonic in 3D, it quickly turns into Marble Madness. Have you played Sonic 3D Blast? That is not a fluke. Okay, Sonic 3D Blast is like what pinball physics Sonic is in 3D, even though it's isometric and all that. That's still a really good example. It winds up getting extra slow. It turns into Marble Madness. So what Sega did, and I applaud this, is you have these 2D sections where you have the heavy platforming and the path branches and exploration that then branch off into 3D speed sections. And these are great because the 3D back view is fantastic for a sense of speed. Like, we've known this since before we really used polygons, because Sega was always dealing with sprite scaling and chasing after that, and so many games utilized sprite scaling as a means of doing a 3D back view effect, because it gives such a better sense of speed. And that's like the big advantage of Sonic in 3D. It's why I really like the idea of race car Sonic being the 3D Sonic. Like, I'm totally on board with it, because the sense of speed is freaking incredible. I love it. But yeah, you can't really do platforming, and you can't really do exploration with that kind of insane speed. So what you do is you smoothly transition from 3D to 2D, you have the platforming and exploration at high speeds in 2D, and then you launch back off into 3D. I love that. I love it, I love it, I love it. And I think Sega should stick with it. I think trying to do high-speed physics-based platforming in 3D is folly. Now, could they improve it? Yes, I do think the boost mechanic could use to be nerfed. I did like the idea of having Sonic control more like Sonic Adventure until you hold down like an accelerator button that makes him auto-run, which was kind of what they did in Sonic Lost World, and that was one of the better parts of Sonic Lost World. I'm completely on board with that, but at the same time, I'm completely on board with Sega going back to their comfort zone, because Sonic Lost World, which was the experimental Sonic, got kind of mixed reception. Like, it wasn't bad, but it's weird. Sonic Lost World is so effing weird, and it's because it's over-designed. Like, the problem with Sonic Lost World is not that it plays badly. The controls are tight, it runs buttery smooth, it looks gorgeous, but it's way, way over-designed. It uses every single button on the controller, and each stage feels like a completely different game, and introduces completely new mechanics that are only used in one or two other stages, and it's enough to drive you nuts. Like, I ran into this when I was grabbing some footage for the potential episode, where I ran out of rings, and there was a spider with the butterflies in the stomach, and I forgot how to fight them. So I did the homing attack and instantly died. And I was like, wait, what? Why? Why'd I get killed? Because I homing attacked the enemy. And it was because you have to kick them and then homing attack them. Well, how was I supposed to know that? What was my indication that spider would damage me if I homing attacked it? Now, if I just bounced off of it, that would be one thing. But it did damage. It killed me because I attacked it. I took damage and died, and there's no good, clear indicator for that. And every single stage in Sonic Lost World has one of these, has some new element that isn't explained well, and that you could accidentally kill yourself on because you didn't know how it works. It's honestly, like, that's the problem with Sonic Lost World. It has too much variety. It has too many different kinds of enemies. It has too many mechanics and gameplay style variations. It's a very weird thing. On top of the fact that it has a terrible sense of speed. There's no speed in that game. But I think it's very interesting. Sonic Lost World is interesting. But then following that, of course, was Sonic Boom, which isn't a real Sonic game, but it is the worst video game I've ever played in my life. Admittedly, I haven't played Superman 64 yet outside of demo kiosks, but Sonic Boom is freaking terrible. So I do think that it is very smart of Sega to essentially just make Sonic Generations 2 and go back to what people like, what their comfort zone was, and the fact that people are complaining about it already makes me sad, and it's like, cripes, at this rate we're never going to get the side characters back. Because that's a horrible thing. You want to know my dream Sonic game? A good game where I can play as many side characters as possible. I don't like Sonic. I like the side characters. And I understand a lot of people, like, the dislike for them is the dumbest thing. Because the reason people dislike them is, of course, because each one had their own unique gameplay style, and because each one had their own unique gameplay style, that detracted from trying to get Sonic's gameplay style to function properly, and as such, it was a complete mess. And I agree with that. But if you gave them all a unified style, like what they did with Sonic Advance, and actually what they did with Sonic and the Black Knight, then I think it would be fine. Same thing what they do with Sonic Mania, what they do with Classic Sonic, where it's like everyone plays. Everyone just plays like Sonic with a twist. That's all I want. Like, I gotta be honest, I think Sonic Advance 1 is one of my favorite Sonic games, if not my favorite Sonic game. And that is what I would want. Like that, or a new, like, Sonic Riders based on the first Sonic Riders that goes out of its way to include as many characters as possible. I just feel like Sega needs to find a way to utilize that huge roster, because no matter how much you hate those characters, every single one of them has their own fandom. And it would be good. Like, everyone does want them back. The number one concern when people, because a lot of people are like, screw all the other Sonics, Sega just needs to make more Sonic Manias. One of the number one concerns is that, like, what happens to the other characters then? Like, I actually saw one person comment and say, please don't get rid of Shadow and Rouge. And it's like, yeah, Shadow has a fan base. A big one. That's why Shadow the Hedgehog was created. The game, I mean. Because there are fans of that guy. So, like, and I was thinking about it. I was really disappointed because Sonic Mania didn't include Amy Rose. And I know it would have been crappy retro Amy Rose, but I would have taken that. But it was like, really, just Sonic, Tails, Knuckles? Well, as good a game as this is, because Sonic Mania is so good, I do prefer Sonic Advance partially because of that. And that's one of the other things, Retro Sonic's kind of a sausage fest. I don't think they're gonna bring back Tiara Babowski. I doubt they would, retroize the modern characters. And I don't think they'd introduce new characters either. And I don't know if they're going to actually incorporate Amy Rose as a playable character. Now, thinking about it, there's tons of characters I'd love to see playable in Sonic Mania. Aside from Amy Rose, I'd love to see Metal Sonic be playable. I'd love to see Bean be playable, because I friggin' love Bean. Fang the Sniper is always, always on the docket. If I could just keep Sonic fanning around here, I still really want a game where Shadow and Fang fight, since they're both the gun wielders, and it makes so much sense, because Fang's a bounty hunter, Shadow can easily get a bounty on his head, no problem, anyone could put it on there, and it's easy, it's obvious. If I made a Shadow the Hedgehog 2, that would be the basis of it. Mind you, if I made a Shadow the Hedgehog, I've actually thought about this. If I made a Shadow the Hedgehog 2, it would be a rail shooter on the Nintendo Wii. That's the problem. I thought about, I actually did dream up what I want for a Shadow the Hedgehog 2. And it needs a Wiimote and nunchuck. Because what I want, okay, imagine this. This would be a really good game. Imagine something like a Boost Sonic, except controlled entirely with the nunchuck for that. Like, use the Z button to jump and homing attack and the C button to boost, right? And then you use the Wiimote to aim and shoot your gun. And it becomes like a combination Boost Sonic rail shooter? Because of course that's what I would think of. I think it's the best game idea I've had in a while. And that's what Shadow the Hedgehog 2 should be, but now they can't do that because they don't have a Wiimote. And it becomes entirely with the nunchuck. So now that I've gotten done talking about that, let's get back to what I was originally making this video for, which was for me to apologize for the lack of content. These past few days, I've actually been sitting here beating myself up because I'm like, I really want to make a new episode. I've been writing scripts like crazy, and so many of them are like in this weird half-finished limbo state. And it's like, I just want to do something, and a part of it is, like, part of what's holding me back is the things that I think I would be most likely to review would be either some anime or some VR games. And I'm like, I think people, and like there's this, there's this part of me that's like, oh geez, people are going to be so pissed off if I just review a bunch more animation rather than reviewing a video game. I should review a video game. And it's like, I should review a VR game. And that's like, no one's going to care about a VR game. And then I have to realize, well, I need to just slap myself upside the head and realize no one watches this channel except you 5 guys. So thank you. Thank you. And more than likely, you'd just like me to do fucking something. And for the record, even if you don't care about VR, tune in if I ever do a Riggs episode. Because Riggs is one of the best games on PlayStation VR, and Sony, there are so many fuck-ups with that game. The fact that Sony closed down the studio is just the beginning. The friggin' hour-long tutorial that makes you nauseous is one of the other flaws. Like, there is a reason that game didn't take off, and it's frustrating because when everything comes together, when you get through the tutorial and you get into the game and you find your proper mech and you're playing a mode that you're good at instead of freaking End Zone, then it is a phenomenal, incredibly fun game, one of the most gorgeous games on the PlayStation VR. It plays incredibly well. I love the way it utilizes the head tracking for aiming, making it sort of a modern rendition of Exo-Rex, which was one of the old VR games, and it just makes me so happy. I love Riggs. Not my favorite PlayStation VR game, but it's up there. It's in, like, the top 5. And yeah, I'm completely on board with VR, as you noticed. That's been one of the other episodes I've been wanting to do is, one, talking about is VR the future? Yes, maybe it's not time for you to buy one right now, but the thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to keep saying, is next console generation needs to have VR standard for all 3D polygonal games. Just like, as a built-in feature, if your game uses polygons, you can view it in VR. That needs to be standard next console generation. If it's not, then there's not going to be a console generation after it. I think VR is much more worth pursuing than 4K. And to anyone who doesn't, like, I'm not saying, though, that they should get rid of TV play, because, of course, you need TV play for, local multiplayer, and because not everyone wants to wear their VR headset 24/7, no matter how comfortable it is. In the PlayStation VR, if you get it put on right, it is very comfortable. A lot of people have mentioned that it is the most comfortable of the various VR headsets. Yeah. Oh, geez, how do I put it? Where was I going with this? I forgot. I got lost. Help. The PlayStation VR is very nice. Not the best headset, but it's nice for what it is. What was I saying? Oh yeah, VR being standard next generation. One of the advantages, though, is that VR games, like Sony has a quality control rule with the PlayStation VR that I actually agree with. It is 60 FPS required on a standard PlayStation 4, or you can't release it. Has to be 60. Because anything lower than that is going to give people horrible motion sickness. And it's going to it's going to screw with the tracking and the way the VR works. And it's like, yeah, it's just required to run at 60 FPS. And I think that's a very good thing, because I know a lot of people really wish that this was the 60 FPS generation. I know a lot of people really wish that everything was standard 60 FPS, and I hope VR takes hold just to start to try to force that, because the more I look at what games are and aren't in VR, the more I go, you people are being lazy. You people are not optimizing your effing games. You're too comfortable on PCs where you can just flop out everywhere, and you're not optimizing freaking anything. And it pisses me off. Like, that's a rant I've been meaning to do with my utter frustration with PC gaming. Which, that's always been, like, a weird thing to deal with, because so many of us console plebs always start by bashing PC gaming, and no, PC gaming, if you can make it work for you, is very, very, very nice. I look at it a lot like the sports car of gaming, where it's absolutely the preferred gaming experience, but then you spend every weekend in the garage tinkering with it and messing with it and having to be super protective of it in order to keep it in peak condition. And that's really nice, but not ideal for everyone. It's actually easy to forget, since so many hardcore gamers are so PC-centric, it's easy to forget that consoles are very successful with the mainstream. They sell incredibly well. A lot of us stick to consoles. And the thing that drives me nuts, the thing that drives me utterly up the wall, there's a guy at the college who does this, and I want to strangle him every time. He actually wants console gaming to go away. He thinks PC gaming is better. Every time someone talks about Nintendo, he's like, you know they're going to have to put those games on PC, right? They're coming to PC. It's going to happen. And, like, no, they're not. When Nintendo stops making consoles, they go out of business. That's what they said. But more than that, just every time. And the reason why that drives me nuts is because I know people like this who, like, when a game comes out, they're like, is it on PC? And it's like, no, it's on PlayStation 4. And even though they own a PlayStation 4, they won't play it. They will wait for the PC release. And if the PC release never comes, then it's just, oh, well, I guess there's no good games on consoles, even though there's a console-exclusive game that you really wanted to play, but you're completely ignoring it because it didn't get released on PC. And then if it does get released on PC, they say, haha, it's better on PC. And if it's not better on PC, then it's, oh, this company's a gigantic pile of trash and this game is garbage. No, I'm not going to play the console version, even though I own a PlayStation 4. And what makes this quadruply annoying is that the guy who did this during the 360 generation refused to play Dungeon Fighter because it was on PC and he wanted it to be ported to consoles. I hate PC gaming. I hate PC gaming so much. I hate it so much. It is so frustrating. Here's the biggest problem with PC gaming for me is that I can't do anything without it taking 9 fucking hours to do. Anytime I try to do anything on PC, it's 9 hours of me trying to troubleshoot some obtuse-ass problem while no one helps because everyone's an egotistical fuckwit. Fuck me. Half the reason I hate PC gaming is because of the PC master race fuckwits who are just way too damn ego-fucking-tistical. Fuck them. Fuck PC gamers. I don't care who I alienate with this one. Mostly because I know that anyone who's listening to this knows exactly what I mean. Like, if you're playing PC and you're not being an egotistical little shit, then you're fine. I'm not talking about you. You're cool, because yes, the PC is the ideal gaming experience because you can mod the crap out of it and you can do so many things to make the experience on PC better if you have the skills and the balls to do it. But the PC is very, 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 very bad for pop-in-and-go goodness. And then, of course, it's here that people talk about how AAA gaming has gone I'm pretty much doing the rant right now. You know what? I'm sorry. I am literally just going. This is going to be a very long game, Metabble, because I'm just going to run my mouth because I haven't done this in a while. Where was I going with this? Fuck everything. AAA gaming is a fucking embarrassment right now, and I'm so glad I don't play it. Like, way back in the past, I tried to be like, no, I don't hate AAA gaming. It's not like I only play obscure Japanese games, because I was always accused of that. And I liked Mass Effect 1. It was good. I don't know what Saints Row 2 counts as, but Saints Row 2 is good. I like that. But right now, AAA gaming is a friggin' disaster, because I keep hearing people talk about how terrible consoles are based on their AAA gaming experiences, and I'm like, I don't have any of these problems with my low-budget Japanese games. My low-budget Japanese titty games don't give me any of these problems. And it's just kind of funny. Loot boxes are friggin' everywhere, and oh geez, that was another thing I wanted to talk about. Can I just say fuck Overwatch? Fuck Overwatch. I really wish it was a good game, but I actually think, like, every time I see someone make a new hero shooter, I laugh, because it's going to bomb. Because hero shooters are a terrible fucking genre. Let's just get this out of the way. Hero shooters are a shit genre. Okay? They're not good. They're way too restrictive, and the only reason Overwatch is successful is because, number one, it has the best frickin' character designs in decades, and if you're gonna do a hero shooter, you need to have really, really good heroes. You need to have heroes that can sell the game based entirely on the fact that they're these heroes. And number two, because it's Blizzard, and Blizzard can do no wrong. I know people who will buy and praise a game because it's made by Blizzard. To me, I'm not a hardcore Blizzard fan, but to me, Blizzard died with World of Warcraft. I consider Guild Wars 1 to be the last true Blizzard game. I haven't played Guild Wars 2, just the concept of it made me sad. It seemed too generic. Guild Wars 1, though, was what World of Warcraft should have been. I love it. It was creative. It was exciting. It was fresh. It did new and interesting things. World of Warcraft is a generic clusterfuck that I hate. You have no clue how much I hate World of Warcraft. Because I picked that game up the week after launch. I had over 30 friends who picked the game up launch day. Each and every one of them was on a different server, on a different side, and it was impossible to play with anyone. On top of the fact that World of Warcraft is actually a really, really, really poorly optimized game. Like, a lot of people look at the way the graphics look, where it's like, oh, it's kind of low poly count, but stylized, so that way it runs on any machine, except it doesn't. On my old computer, I could run Guild Wars at max graphics settings, and it beat the shit out of World of Warcraft. But World of Warcraft, week after launch, at minimum graphics setting, was causing my computer to hiccup. That is a really poorly made fucking game. Fuck World of Warcraft, and pretty much fuck Blizzard after World of Warcraft, which I know is gonna make one of my friends kind of salty. But just Overwatch pisses me off to such a degree, though, because the game's not finished. It's a versus mode to a game I want to play. It drives me utterly up the wall that they have all these really cool characters with these really cool, like, intro sequences and little web videos and stuff, and they have this whole big, crazy storyline, and I'm like, yeah, I want to play that. I want to get in there. I want to know more about Tracer and her crazy adventures, and Widowmaker, and Mei, and all those great characters. I want to find out about them. I want to play that game, and then I pop it in, and all I have is the versus mode, where none of the characters' personality or traits matters at all. The plot is not developed, and I'm just sitting there screaming. And then apparently, because no, I didn't buy the game, because when I realized this was all it was, it drove me completely up the wall. They actually did do some kind of, like, co-op story adventure thing that was only available for 1 month, and fuck you, Blizzard. And then they pull this loot box crap, which is completely inexcusable. Like, I was annoyed that Overwatch wasn't a free-to-play game. Due to the fact that it's nothing but a versus mode, I was like, this feels like it should be free-to-play. Because I know it's below full price, but the fact that it's just a versus mode, it feels incomplete. It feels like it should be free-to-play. But then you have to pay for it, and then they pull this worse than free-to-play BS. Like, I remember the gacha machines in Dungeon Fighter Online, and people complain about those, but at least in those, you were guaranteed the item type you wanted. What it was they had these, like, giant gumball machines, and you paid $1 for a spin, but you got to choose that you wanted an item for, you got to choose what class you wanted the item for and what item type you wanted. So I could say, I want female fighter pants, and I would get a pair of female fighter pants for $1. It might not be the pair I wanted, but I got it, and I could trade it and barter it and sell it on the online auction shop to try to get the pair of pants I wanted. Even still, I remember spending $40 one month in order to get, I believe it was the dancing, I don't know if it was the dancing Bedla pants or one of the, or like the bunny bits, I forget, I think it was the dancing Bedla pants, but yeah, like, I remember when people complained about that, but what Overwatch does is complete scumbag tactics. Like, it's bad enough, oh, there's a random chance you'll get this skin, but the fact that those loot crates are just full of trash, they're full of garbage, you know, ooh, sprays, ooh, stickers or whatever. No one cares about this. And then you get a skin and it's for a character that you never effing play. And then they have the audacity to have time-limited skins? When there's so few of them, that's the thing that drives me nuts. See, with Dungeon Fighter, they have to release new avatar parts every month to get my money. And it works, because every month I go, ooh, what are the new fashions this month? Oh, that looks fabulous. I'm going to buy that. And it kept them on their toes. They had to keep producing new content in order to get me to buy. That's why I have no problem with Dead or Alive 5, which I can't believe people complain about Dead or Alive 5. Yes, there's like $1,000 worth of DLC for it. You don't need all of it. They're just costumes. Buy the ones you want. They're sold for $2 a pop. $3 if they're doing something fancy with them. You don't have to. Oh. Like $1,000 worth of DLC for it. You don't so, in the case of Dead or Alive 5, sorry for the clapping. In the case of Dead or Alive 5, they have to produce new costumes every month, and then I go, ooh, what's Lisa wearing this month? Ooh, fabulous. I will give you $2 for that. But then, Overwatch, they can just have, well, we got like 5 different alternate skins for every character, and you pay like $1 a spin, and there is a chance you might maybe get one of them, maybe. Like, they don't have to produce tons of skins. They don't have to keep them coming. They don't have to add more customization options. They can just sit on having like 5 skins per character and rake in the dough. It's a complete fucking scam in a game that, as it is a fucking unfinished versus mode to a game I really, really want to play, and as it is, the game, as a competitive versus game, is, I feel, way too restrictive. I do not like the hero shooter setup. I think it's bad. I remember I played Overwatch and Battleborn, both on their, like, free play weekends. Battleborn had, that one's even more depressing, because on paper it's so much better than Overwatch, because it has, like, a story mode, and it has co-op, and it has all these different options, and the characters have way more skills. Unfortunately, it plays like a bag of rancid ass. Battleborn basically feels like Borderlands, except you don't find new weapons. It feels exactly the same as Borderlands, minus finding new weapons, so none of your weapons have impact. None of your weapons feel like they effing do anything. It's like Borderlands if all you had was your starter gun throughout the entire game. And it's like, well, that's not fun. And then you couple that with a shit-ass female character design, which was where that game completely fucked up. Which, this is where I'm calling out Gearbox. I'm calling out Gearbox right now, because I'm sorry to get a little political here, but Gearbox is the most cucked-ass company I've ever seen. And I've had a beef with Gearbox ever since Samba de Amigo Wii, because yes, they were the ones that made that. And I remember when I nearly lost a friend over them, because, like, you know what, I'm not getting into it. Just fuck that Gearbox PR guy, fuck Gearbox, and fuck their character designers. Because, here's the thing, they act like they're such a, like, progressive, feminist-licious company, and yet they are, like, the second best example of how bad people are at making female characters if they try too hard to be progressive. Borderlands is the first one I have beef with. Borderlands as a concept is great, you know, basically a dungeon crawler first-person shooter with infinite randomly generated guns. Heck yeah! I loved Borderlands 1. And then Borderlands 2 is announced, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see who the new characters are. And I'm like, okay, so these are 4 new characters, so there's 8 characters, right? No, there's 4. What? What do you mean you rebuilt the whole effing thing from scratch? What do you mean that I play as Maya now, and that it's not like Maya and Lilith, it's just you play as Maya now, Lilith is an NPC? Do you not know how to do game design? Do I need to send you to Japan? Because Japan knows how to iterate. They know how to, like, build a base game and then double the content in the next game. That's how, like, practically all the Dragon Ball Z games happened. That they build that first game that lays a foundation, and then they literally take that game, double the amount of content, and sell it again next year. And I was totally okay with that. And that's all I wanted out of Borderlands 2. 8 playable characters for Borderlands 2. That's what it should have been, but no, it was 4 again. It was freaking 4 again. And then Borderlands, the pre-sequel, I looked at that. Now, and the worst part is that Maya and Lilith are pretty much the same character in terms of design, in terms of body type. But Borderlands, the pre-sequel, is where things get just completely stupid, because then they're like, ha, we have the 50-50 gender split. Isn't that great? And it's like, you dumbasses, there's only 4 characters again, and it doesn't even feel like 4 characters, because unfortunately, both of your female characters have the exact same fucking body type, which is the same body type as Maya and Lilith, because it's the only body type you can possibly freaking think of, because it's attractive but not too sexy, right? And then the only male character you have is a squat-ass muscle dwarf, and then you have Claptrap, who's, like, technically, like, kinda male, but he's a robot, so it doesn't count. So in my brain, it only registers as having 3 characters instead of 4, when we should have like 16 characters by now, you incompetent hacks. But then we get to Battleborn, where all the male characters are wacky and goofy and fun and have a variety of different body types, and all the female characters are just Grumpy McGrumpy Pants. They all have pretty much the same body type. They're very similar. None of them are like, there's like one that's like this weird, almost spider-like girl, and she was alright. And then, there's a kinda sexy-ish elf girl, kinda. But for the most part, it's like, none of these are like crazy alien chicks. They all have the same body type, and they all have the same personality, and it's amazing. They're like 2 different, like, butch mohawk girls in the game that look like almost identical, and I have trouble telling them apart. And I'm like, really? So all your male characters are, like, happy and fun-loving and neat, and then all your female characters are pissy because that's what you think a strong female character is. That's what you think progressive is. Fuck you. Fuck you, Gearbox. You incompetent hacks. Go out of business already. Fuck. I know, I'm a little salty tonight. I don't know why. Probably frustration with myself for not getting an episode out, which is why I'm just running my mouth at all these things that piss me off. Because I've kind of half considered doing an episode for all these and never really got it off the ground. I was actually looking, like, that's a problem. I don't have, I should just download Paladins again. It's like, I don't have any hero shooters to use to complain about hero shooters. And yes, you know what? I'm pretty okay with Paladins, even though I hear it was a complete clusterfuck behind the scenes. Like, I've heard really bad reports from the employees, and apparently throughout the beta, the game changed so drastically in each version that it pissed off a lot of the people who were playing it. But Paladins is a flagrant Overwatch knockoff. In many ways, they're very much trying to copy the style, but I think it works out pretty okay. And at least it's free to play. That's my big thing. Overwatch should have been a free-to-play game. I stand by that statement. It should have either been a free-to-play game, or it should have had a fucking campaign. You don't get to release this half-finished... Actually, no, you do get to release this half-finished, unimpressive game and have it become this worldwide phenomenon just because you're fucking Blizzard. And Tracer's ass, which is a much better explanation. I'm salty. I fucking hate the hero shooter genre, and I have absolutely, positively no sympathy for any company that goes out of business trying to make a hero shooter because they're retarded. I'm gonna feel sad when Volition goes out of business, but fuck me, what made you think Agents of Mayhem was a good idea, you stupid morons? You think people play Saints Row for the characters? Your character designs are boring and uninteresting. We play it for the customization, the freedom, and the sheer zaniness of it all. Fuck. Just fuck. I actually feel bad for Agents of Mayhem, though, because everyone thought that it was an Overwatch clone, and then it winds up being completely single-player, like, not even co-op like in the other Saints Row games. And it's like, what the crap? What is this? This isn't what we thought it was. No one knew what Agents of Mayhem was. And I still think they screwed up because, like, if you're gonna make a game where, like, you have to pick from a bunch of preset characters, you need to go all in. And I mean all in. Where's the dragon? Like, that's my big argument. They should have had a dragon man. There should have been a dragon in Agents of Mayhem. And I know you're like, wait, but the dragon wouldn't make sense. Bullshit. It's Saints Row. Dragon would have made sense. If you had a dragon man with dual Gatling guns who could fly and breathe fire, then you'd be onto something. See, that's what hero shooters need. And not, like, just that specifically, but, like, you need to make characters that go so far beyond, that are so distinct and unique. The Dragon Man having wings, letting him fly, that makes him unique from all the other characters and unique from something you'd normally play in a shooter. And also, why are they all first person? You're selling it on the characters. The hero shooter, the core of the hero shooter is the heroes, is the character. Why are they all first person? Oh, I know Fortnite's a little better in that regard, but then Fortnite, it's clear that they had a character customization system. They just removed, randomized, and called it different original characters. I don't know. I kind of want to play Fortnite. I don't know. But yeah, no. If you're making a hero shooter and you think that it's going to be successful because Overwatch, yes, you deserve to go out of business. Fuck you. No remorse for any of that crap. Because hero shooters aren't a good genre, and Overwatch is only successful because it's Blizzard and has fantastic character designs, not because it's actually a good game. And Paladins is only successful because it's a cheap Overwatch knockoff you can play for free, which I'm much more comfortable with. I mean, at least then the loot boxes are excusable to a degree. I expect free-to-play bullshit from an actual free-to-play game. Not from a fucking premium game. Fuck you, Blizzard. Fuck you, Overwatch. It makes me so sad, because I really want to play Overwatch. I really want it to be a good game. But it's just not. No. Fuck it all. Fuck it all. I know I'm being very, very salty right now, and it probably sounds like I don't like any games. Which, by the way, I did I need to figure out where I put the friggin' camera. I bumped into it like a couple times before when I didn't need it, and now that I need it, I can't find it. Sorry. Sorry, Assembler Games. I'm looking for your camera. But when I do actually intend to just do an episode about the fact that I have a video rental store that still functions relatively well in my area. Just because, like, and I know it'll come off like a shill-tastic infomercial, but so many people think that, video rental stores are dead and that they don't exist anymore, and I've got a Family Video down the street. Now, and it's like, I kind of want to, like, show you that a video rental store can still be successful, and how it manages to be successful. Pro tip, there's an attached pizza place. Like, that's the thing Family Video's been doing. They are partnered with, like, it's sort of their own in-house chain called Marco's Pizza. And, like, if you spend more than $10 on a pizza, you get a free new release movie rental. And on top of that, there's an order window for your pizza inside the video rental store. That definitely helps, and it's good pizza. It is good pizza. I picked some up today. But the main reason I go there is, of course, because they've got video rentals and sometimes want to see DVD special features without having to buy the DVD. And yeah, it's like they're still relatively successful. It's like I'd kind of like to take a camera in there just to prove it to you, which probably means I need to see if their porn section is still there. I've never actually gone there. Yeah, that was the thing I always found funny, because I remember when Family Video first opened up, some of their porn got mixed with the regular new releases. And it was funny. But yeah, they have a secret porn section next to the bathrooms. And I always found it funny that Family Video is the only video rental store with the porn section that isn't just a porn video rental store. Always found that funny. I don't know if they still have that, but I think it's hilarious. But yeah, so I might take a camera in there and, like, just to show you that it exists. Because so many people think that doesn't work. And yeah, I need it because, of course, video game rentals. And on that note, I did, like, that. That's what I need to do, though. Because I've got 5 days with Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. And that game either needs to impress me or I need to give it the brutal tongue lashing. Shoot, if I actually do get a review of that out, which I likely won't, let's just be honest here, I'm going to open by telling you all that I'm going to be very biased against it, because I kind of hate Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle on a principle. Not because of the Rabbids, but because so many people are like, oh, this is so creative and unique, and Japan would never think of doing a game like this, and it's so original, and I'm like, bitch, don't you remember when Japan made everything into a strategy game? And it drives me nuts because these are the exact same people who whine and bitch and moan about Project X Zone without giving it a fucking chance, because Project X Zone is actually kind of awesome. Not as awesome as Namco X Capcom. I do think the original Namco X Capcom is a better game than Project X Zone, but Project X Zone is pretty freaking awesome, and it's the same people who bitch about that being a strategy game, but oh, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, how original and unique, and then there's so many people who look at it and go, oh, it looks like XCOM, so that means it's good because it's like XCOM, but for kids. Do you know why XCOM is good, you dumbass? XCOM isn't good because of the way the strategy works. XCOM is good because of the layers of strategy. The fact that you build your own base, you get to customize your own troops and build their skill sets. And then, like, what missions you select affect what other missions happen. And there's so many layers of strategy before you even get into the battles. And then the strategy battles themselves are good. And it all wraps up into this nice, super customizable package. And it's amazing, because I will say, I said this to a friend of mine who was like, oh, that game looks pretty good because it looks like XCOM. And he's played XCOM. And I'm like, are you a dumbass? And I tell him all this, and he's like, acts like I'm weird or something. And it's like, bitch, XCOM isn't good because, like, if you took everything else out of XCOM and it was just the strategy battles, XCOM would be mediocre. And that's what I'm expecting out of Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Because in my mind, there are two reasons to play a strategy game. Either A, customization, getting to create your own troops made out of generic classes and level them up in unique and creative ways to produce the best soldiers you can. That's one reason to play. The other reason, number 2, Super Robot Wars reason, piles and piles and piles of characters. Like, that's one of the other things you do with it, is just the, being able to play as that many characters at once, commanding an army of all these recognizable characters. And from my understanding, I've not popped it in yet, I will soon, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle has no customizable characters, and, no generic troops, which is a thing they could have done with the Rabbids, but no. And, it only has 8 characters. Mario, Luigi, Peach, Yoshi, Mario Rabbid, Luigi Rabbid, Peach Rabbid, Yoshi Rabbid. No getting to have Goombas and Koopa Troopas in your army. No, getting to call in the Kongs. And most importantly, no Princess Daisy. So fuck you. Like, if it had Princess Daisy, maybe I'd be interested, but no. And so I look at it, and I'm like, the animations look funny, and maybe, just maybe, I'll be, like, blown away by how amazing and creative and fun it is. But I severely doubt it. More than likely, crap, I just blew my load. Because that's pretty much my entire review of it. More than likely, I'm just going to repeat that in greater detail and give it a 3 out of 5. And I hate to go into a review like that, but then I saw the fucking commercials for Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, that with Game Informer giving it Best New IP in the background. But Best New motherfucker! It's Mario and Rabbids. Those are 2 existing IPs. You don't just get to go, oh, that's the best new IP of E3. Exactly, how desperate are we for new IPs? Cripes, I thought calling Bloodborne a new IP was bad, when it's clearly just a Souls game. Arrgh! Mario plus Rabbids Kingdoms Battle? Best new IP? Fuck you! Fuck you asshats, because, like, this might be the ultimate example of the Nintendo softball. Because there's a lot of people who will just give Nintendo games good scores because it's Nintendo, and you're not allowed to give Nintendo games bad scores. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, this is a completely mediocre strategy game that serves absolutely no purpose. 3 out of 5. Tell me why it's not. And you just sit down and play it. Should I stream that? Would anyone be interested in me streaming this game that I'm 90% certain I am going to absolutely loathe? I'll probably enjoy the Peach animations though, but loathe. And while we're talking about Souls, that's a video I need to do, but that one's going to take a little bit of doing. You have to dig out a lot of games and hope I hate that. I hate the fact that I'm afraid to turn on my 360. But hope my 360 still works. I am really frustrated with Souls fans. Mostly because, like, especially because Hardcore Gaming 101 actually did say something like, there are 2 From Softwares, before Souls and after Souls. Now, ahem. So, where were we before Audacity decided to flip out because it ran out of memory? Yeah, I had, like, 50, error pop-ups show up saying that it can't save the temp file. Might have gone on for a bit. So, when we last left our heroes was bitching about From Software and people saying, oh, there's before Souls and after Souls and all that crap, and it drives me nuts because I have actually been a long-time fan of From Software, except I don't like the Souls games. Now, I want you to try to wrap your head around that. Someone who likes From Software, who hates the Souls series. When most people only consider From Software to be the Souls series, it drives me completely up the wall. From Software is more than just challenge in a dark atmosphere. Before all this, they were known as, like, the giant robot company. That was their bread and butter. They called them in to make mecha games. Like, remember that Steel Battalion on Kinect? That was From Software. Because Capcom, I don't think they had their original dev team, and Microsoft is like, we want a Steel Battalion, we'll fund it. We want a Steel Battalion on Kinect. So Capcom called in From Software to make it. And then there was Super Robot Wars Another Century's episode, Super Robot Wars Ace, which is an action spin-off of the Super Robot Wars series made by From Software. Giant robots were From Software's bread and butter until the Souls series came along. But having said that, they've made, like, Souls-like games back on PS1 as well, not just Kingsfield, but, like, I think there's one called Dark Tower that looks very Soulsian as well. So that's always been a part of the company, but it drives me nuts, utterly nuts, because that's all anyone associates From Software with is Dark Souls, and it's dumb, because, like, From Software said, we are ending the Dark Souls series, and we are going to make 3 new non-Souls games, one of which will surprise you, which I'm very excited to see. And then everyone gets stupid about it. They're like, oh, they're gonna stop making Dark Souls, that means we're gonna get Bloodborne 2! Oh, fine, whatever. Oh, they're gonna make a new Armored Core. Wouldn't it be cool if Armored Core was, like, basically Dark Souls with giant robots? No, fuck you! Fuck you! And then, like, like, it's like that's all anyone can comprehend is, oh, From Software equals Dark Souls. Oh, what's your favorite From Software boss? You know what? Fuck you, Richard! Fuck you, bitch! Driving fucking nuts! Because From Software is so much more than Dark Souls. This would be like if we expected every game Capcom made to be Street Fighter. Oh, let's see. Oh, Breath of Fire, that's gonna be like Street Fighter, but an RPG. Oh, Mega Man, that's like Street Fighter, but a platformer. Whoa, everything's Street Fighter. Fuck you, get learnt. If From Software should be known for anything, it's not a dark, gritty atmosphere and a crazy level of challenge. It is having incredibly adventurous and overly deep games. Like, their games are generally really, really deep, deeper than your average game, and they take a lot of risks, and they don't seem to care if their games have any sort of mainstream appeal. They just sort of make what they want to make. And then when something takes off, they run it into the ground. Do you know how many Armored Cores there were on PS2? There was a lot of Armored Cores on PS2. And I didn't complain. I kind of picked up every one of them. Almost every one of them. But, yeah, it drives me nuts that people think Dark Souls is all From Software is. So one day I need to dig out as many of my assorted From Software games I can find, which means I need to do something about Armored Core, because I don't know if I have any PS1 Armored Cores handy, and just talk about, like, a bunch of the other games From Software's made. Not all of them, just more of them. Because screw you, Enchanted Arms. Like, you don't even know about Enchanted Arms. You don't even know about Ninja Blade, which, no, I will never shut up about Ninja Blade, because it is the Bujin guy of the 360 PS3 generation. It is one of the best 3D action games I've ever played. I consider it to be on par with Bayonetta, not because of the combat. Bayonetta's all about the combat. Ninja Blade is like the only 3D action game to get stage design right. If you can tolerate a wanton amount of QTEs, because Ninja Blade is a celebration of the QTEs, literally. They have a separate QTE leaderboard and difficulty level and actively advertise that the game has QTEs on the back of the box. It is a celebration of the QTE. But if you can tolerate them, because they are at least relatively well-handled QTEs, then, yeah, Ninja Blade is fucking amazing, and everyone needs to play it. I really like Ninja Blade. And apparently it's on Steam now. I don't know how, well, it's been on Steam. There was a boxed PC release, like, years ago. A friend of mine picked one up and showed me the box. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that happened. And it's on Steam. I don't know how good the Steam release is, but it's there. Kinda want to pick it up. But anyway. Yeah, so that's where I am with From Software. There's a ton of episodes that I just need to make and don't get around to. And, like, just the other night, I was really frustrated about that, because I'm like, I want to make an episode. I want to go all in. I need to produce something. And then, like, all of my options either required things that I do not have access to, or required a lot more work, or were things I didn't think anyone cared about. And then I think about it. Now I'm realizing, you know what? I should just produce something no one cares about. Because it's better to produce an episode no one cares about than to produce no episode at all. So I will probably do something goofy like review Zeta, that PlayStation VR game that I was playing on stream once. Yeah, I kicked together a review of that, talking about just how weird the design decisions in that game are. And then we'll see where we go from there. I might do an animation review. Like, I kind of want to talk about the 2 Ranma movies for some reason. I'm actually, slowly but surely, and no guarantees this will ever happen because retrospectives take a lot of work, and I am legendarily lazy, but I'm kicking around doing a Cutie Honey retrospective, because amazingly there's none of those on YouTube, but admittedly that's because it's hard to get your hands on all of the necessary Cutie Honey. And it's like, yeah, that show is kind of important and influential and not nearly documented well enough, so I might do that. I've been meaning to do, like, I know doing an episode explaining my love of VR has been on the horizon. I know I blew a lot of that load when I was talking about leave PlayStation VR alone. That's actually the thing I was going to mention back when I was talking about how I don't use my Switch nearly as much as I thought I would. As much as I love it from a conceptual standpoint, I do use my PlayStation VR exponentially more, which makes that whole death of the PS VR video even funnier and dumber to me. And apparently they, like, pulled it off the... I heard that they actually pulled it off of YouTube because they got, like... a lot of people were making fun of them for it. It's weird. VR's in a weird place right now. And it's like, I'm not going to say you should get a VR now, but I think there is definitely a future in it, and, like, I think next console generation VR will be standard. And I think we cannot give up until then, because there's still a lot of kinks to work out of VR, and if we wait another 20 years, then we're just going to sit in place for another 20 years. We have the technology to do really good VR, and I've played some good VR games. We just need more of them. We need to expand it further, and I hope that VR will hold AAA developers' feet to the fire to learn how to fucking optimize their games and stop being lazy shits. Because that's what's been pissing me off about... That's where I was going with the whole PC and console rant. Like, the thing that drives me utterly up the wall is that, yes, the current batch of consoles are basically just PCs in boxes. And it drives me nuts because in the past, consoles were actually more powerful than PC. They could produce better graphics because they had vastly superior closed systems. And that's a lot of what the PlayStation 3 was with its cell processor. That was something you didn't have on PC, and it was very, very hard to develop for. But if you could harness the power of the cell processor, you could produce something truly amazing. And as such, the PS3, if utilized correctly, could blow a PC of the same era out of the water. Unfortunately, Sony dropped the ball so hard with their announcement of the PlayStation 3 being $599 US that Microsoft got to take over the industry. Microsoft was very easy to port from PC from at the same time, and many people, many of these effing PC fanatics forget PC gaming was dying when the 360 launched. Steam had not yet taken off, and DRM had reached a point that PC gamers were abandoning their PCs for the Xbox 360 because it was less of a pain in the ass. En masse. And as such, most games were released on 360 and PC. But what we wound up getting weren't... But the result was that instead of getting console games, we got consoleized PC games that pissed off PC gamers and left console gamers feeling alienated. And the majority of the market was so PC-centric. Like, it drove me nuts. It was very clear. Every game journalist of the era was either a PC gamer or not a gamer at all, and it drove me nuts. There were, like, no console gamers left, and so console-style games pretty much shriveled up and vanished, and gaming became very PC-centric as Steam, like, grew in popularity and people migrated back to PC. They got really frustrated by how hard it was to port games from PC to console and vice versa. And so there was this huge demand for consoles to be more like PCs, make them more like PCs, you gotta make them more like PCs. And then Sony and Microsoft come out and they go, hey, we made our consoles more like PCs. And all the PC gamers go, yay, they did the smart thing, they made their consoles more like PCs. Now I don't need to buy a game console. And it pisses me off because in a way that destroyed console gaming. That's what happened to it. All the PC gamers, all the console gamers felt alienated by the lack of console games on their consoles, while PC developers were too lazy to make an actual console game, and pretty much everyone, and like there were no console gamers left in game journalism, so all the PC gamers got together and said, make your consoles into PCs, so all the consoles turned into PCs, and now PCs are better than consoles. Fuck you. Like, this is one of the many reasons why I hate PC gaming, and I know I'm gonna have a bunch of people look at me odd, and fuck you. Like, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this shit. It pisses me off, because it's very clear that no one wants to put in the time or effort to make a serious console game again. And consoles can no longer succeed because game developers are too fucking lazy. It's too easy to make a video game these days, and so people just let their dicks flop out all over the place, you know. Nothing is fucking optimized at damn all, and they just expect you to keep upgrading your fucking garbage-ass systems in order to keep up with their lazy programming, and then the result is that, yeah, the games are better on PC, of course, because they're PC games, because no one makes console games, because there are no consoles anymore. There's consoleized PCs. The only real the last real console was the Wii U, which we saw how that went. The Switch is just weird, because the architecture is apparently very tablet-esque. And oh god, the Switch is just gonna be the weirdest thing. Like, it is such... Do you know how mind-fucking the Switch is, okay? Because, remember why everyone was like, oh, the Wii U isn't successful because no one makes games on it, and no one makes games on the Wii U because it isn't successful. The Switch, conceptually alone, is wildly successful. It is still hard to get your hands on it, admittedly, because Nintendo is shorting shipments of the Switch in order to make it look more successful than it actually is. But it actually is a successful system. Everyone's buying the Switch. Everyone wants the Switch. The Switch is considered very successful, and there aren't actually a lot of games on it, and it kind of blindsided everyone because a comical number of people thought that the Switch was just going to be a complete flop, and now it's a huge success. And people are like, it's weird because, like, people are scrambling to try to put something on the Nintendo Switch. And at the same, like, because now it's like, yeah, that's a very successful system. Everyone wants Switch games. You release a game on Switch, it will sell. And so people are kind of scrambling to do that, but the Switch is so much less powerful than everything else that it takes a lot of work and optimization to actually get anything to work on the Switch. There's a lot of people who still just don't want to produce anything on the Switch, and Lord knows how Nintendo's handling anything. But it's like such a weird thing, because it's like, yeah, no, Switch is successful, make games for it. People are demanding Switch games right now. Strike while the iron's hot, and there's still like barely anything on the system, but there's a lot of stuff in the works. I'm not seeing a Wii level of success, mostly because the only reason we saw a Wii level of success was because the Wii was just a GameCube, and everyone just ported their fucking garbage-ass PS2 games to it, and got to recycle their GameCube dev kits, is what happened there. But it is kind of funny how the Switch's success has blindsided everyone, and we now have what many people thought would be impossible, a successful console with no games. And I think that is going to be fixed in the future, hopefully. I look forward to it. But yeah, people need to start making... It's going to be interesting to see how the Switch plays out. Because it is going to demand a level of optimization that I don't think modern developers are even remotely used to. I think a lot of AAA devs are still going to snub the Switch because they're useless cocksuckers. I really want the AAA industry to crash. Like, the video game industry can't crash anymore because the indie devs will prop it up them fucking selves if they have to, for better or for worse. But I do want the AAA market to utterly crash, and it has to be crashing because they are making so many bad design decisions. They're doing so much scummy garbage. And I know people are like, you have to be getting fed up with it. Like, and it's just weird for me, though, because I'm so completely detached from the AAA market. I don't play Assassin's Creed because I don't like stealth games, even though I hear they're barely stealth games anymore. I don't play first-person shooters. I don't play open-world games that aren't called Saints Row. I'm completely detached from the AAA market. Like, my experience with VR is as close to the AAA market as I've gotten, and that's mostly just indie devs desperately trying to be the AAA market. It's actually a little embarrassing. But I'm just sitting here like, fuck. I can't think of a AAA game that interests me. And I'm amazed, like, by how bad Capcom's fuck-ups. Because I usually buy every fighting game that comes out. Because fighting games are pretty consistent, but ever since they removed Armika's butt slap from Street Fighter V, I don't trust Street Fighter V anymore. I canceled my pre-order on Street Fighter V after that, and honestly, they've been doing a terrible job with the fucking faces in that game. Never thought I'd live in a world where NetherRealm does better faces than Capcom, but here we are. Manat kind of makes me want to pick the game up, especially since it's only like $20 now. Like, I kind of want to just pick up the game and grab, like, Manat and, Jury, and call it a day. But as someone pointed out, countdown until Capcom censors Manat's super move. And it's like, what? No, I don't want to deal with it. Like, right now, I'm going to tell you something really weird. I'm so pissed at the industry right now that I've actually implemented a tits or get the fuck out policy. I do not trust a video game unless I see a sexy female character in it. If I don't, then I don't buy it. Period. And I know that sounds really, really dumb, because it is really, really, really dumb. But there's been so much overly political bullshit going on in the background that I refuse. That's why I didn't support Indivisible. I took one look at that archer's nose and I said, oh, hell no. And turns out I was right on that one now, wasn't I? Fuck that noise. Makes me sad. What makes me really sad was one time during the radio show, I was talking about Shantae, and this guy barges in there. He's like, you talking about Shantae? We talked about Shantae on the radio. It was great. And he was like, oh man, you gotta play this game called Indivisible. It's gonna be so great. There's a demo of it. And I'm like, yeah, I've got personal reasons for why I'm not supporting that. And it made me really sad, because it's clear he never played Valkyrie Profile. And Valkyrie Profile is one of my favorite RPGs of all time. It's such a good game. And it makes me really, really sad to see everyone, comparing games to Indivisible instead of Valkyrie Profile. Because, even Indivisible admits it's just made because they want a new Valkyrie Profile. And the Valkyrie Profile series went really, really off the rails after the first game. And they wanted something closer to the first Valkyrie Profile, so they made their own, and I completely support that. But unfortunately, Indivisible has shit character designs. The only good character designs in that game are the main character and Shantae. and I was just like, no, I'm not supporting this. It kind of makes me sad that Shantae is in this game. I will admit, like, Indivisible actually deeply dulled my love for the Shantae series. Like, for a while I was like, do I really like this game? And then, of course, I just remembered all the fond memories of the freaking decade-long struggle to try to get Shantae Advance released. Because I bought Shantae day one. Thanks to Extreme Sports, I knew about it 2 years before it was released. Thank goodness. So I was able to buy Shantae for only $25 at launch because it did not launch at a full $30, surprisingly. They have never sold a Shantae game at full price. It's very weird. And yeah, understanding the love for Shantae, you kind of have to have been there since the beginning and understand the struggle. It's one of the things that makes me really sad. Because, like, another friend of mine who likes Sigma Star Saga really hates Shantae because he looks at it like, this is just some indie-ass DeviantArt trash. And honestly, he's kind of right. But the reason why Shantae was amazing was because it was indie-ass DeviantArt trash in an era before the indie boom. On the Game Boy Color. When there was none of this retro chic indie pixel art horse shit. When the pixel art was real, when they were struggling to harness the power of a system. And if you want to know what WayForward's really good at, it's 8-bit sprites. Because the thing that sold me on that entire company was in Extreme Sports, the character of Guppy, her sprite is amazing. It is unquestionably the sexiest 8-bit sprite ever made. They actually managed to do bouncing boobs and hip wiggle in 8-bit sprites on the Game Boy Color and make it look right. That shouldn't be possible. That blew my fucking mind, and it continues to blow my mind. I consider it to be an astonishing achievement of 8-bit sprite work, true 8-bit sprite work. And I know you're laughing at me because it's the dumbest fucking thing. But that shouldn't have been possible, and they did it. And WayForward kept doing it. Their 8-bit Game Boy Color sprite work is just some of the most mind-blowing shit. But it's hard to, like, really wrap your head around just how mind-blowing it is when everyone's doing their retro pixel art horse shit with inconsistent pixel sizes and drastically overpowered systems that can display thousands upon thousands of colors. You go back to a Game Boy Color, though, and the fact that they pulled that off on there was astonishing. And a game about a sexy genie girl that fights huge-breasted monster women on the Game Boy Color? That wasn't something that got to exist. So yes, it was DeviantArt horseshit, but from the era before everyone who drew DeviantArt horseshit got to just shit into a game maker and make it into a real game. This was from, this was on an actual Game Boy Color. It wasn't retro pixel art. It was real pixel art struggling to look good on a drastically underpowered system and pushing it to its absolute limit. That's what made the original Shantae so amazing. Not to mention, it's still the most ambitious game in the series. Because their whole idea with that was, we'll just make the best game we can and people will love it regardless, and that didn't quite happen. So every subsequent Shantae game, all the way up to Half Genie Hero, all of them have basically been designed to fail. Like, they've expected this to just be bought by a cult following of fans and that the games would make absolutely no money. It's amazing how much a fucking Kickstarter, of all things, can completely change the fortune of a series like that. It's like, for once, fate didn't fuck over Shantae. For once, everything turned up good. Because of the fucking Kickstarter, But yeah, I totally get playing Shantae and the Pirate's Curse and thinking, this is just another indie pixel art platformer, not realizing that those sprites are rendered at the maximum resolution the 3DS can draw a sprite at, and that it is a 3DS game first, and just, I don't know, like, systems these days are too powerful for way forward games. They can't push a game system to its absolute limit with 2D visuals anymore because they're not fucking Vanillaware. So it's, you know, it's a different time period. They're a little bit of a company out of time, but at the same time, you know, the Shantae games are still great. I still love the characters. I look forward to playable Roddy Tops. That's why I donated $200 to the fucking Kickstarter. But yeah, I get how the average person could look at the Shantae series and just think, it's just another female-led Metroidvania with a sexy protagonist. What's the big deal? You know, another indie pixel art Metroidvania, because they're a dime a dozen. But when the original Shantae came out, the term Metroidvania was just starting to be used, because Circle of the Moon had just come out, and that was like the first one after Symphony of the Night to also be a Metroidvania that was a Castlevania. And on top of that, like, the original Shantae is one of the best Metroidvanias because it's also very Zelda-esque. Like, go be real here, I don't like Metroidvanias because I get lost too easily. I also kind of don't like Zelda games because they're too puzzle-centric. But Shantae, I make an exception for. Because even though I did manage to get lost in that game, it was still, like, way better. It did a better job directing me. And was just way, way more fun in a lot of ways. I love the original Shantae, and I like all the subsequent games, but I don't think they hold the same kind of magic because we are in a completely different era now. It was very much for its time, it was a game that shouldn't exist. It's a game lots of people wanted, but no one would produce. That's what the original Shantae was. That's where the real love comes from. But let's be real here. Guppy best waifu. Fuck you. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm saying fuck you too much. I love all my fans. Including you, Halberd Knight. I'm sorry. I'm just rambling at this point, but I feel like I need to. Because I've had so many, like, a lot of this is stuff I've wanted to do episodes on, but it would require too much work to actually build into an episode. I've already got, like, 1 million scripts on the table that I need to work on. And really, I should just do more rail shooter archive, because I'm not alone, and other people like that, and I should get off my lazy ass and produce some more videos on that. I don't know, like, part of the problem with me is that my game interests come in seasons. So there is a rail shooter season where I go absolutely crazy for rail shooters, and that's when I started the rail shooter archive. And there's a Bust a Groove season where I go absolutely crazy for Bust a Groove, and begin to slowly lose my mind because no one is making music games like Bust a Groove anymore. Oh, Tak Fuji might. There's a game called Gal Metal coming to the Switch with Tak Fuji involved in it. It's about schoolgirls playing heavy metal, and that might be good. I'm very excited for that. And yes, I know about Rap Rabbit, which was very much a me being kind of disappointed. I wished I had the money to actually donate to that Kickstarter, but money's been rather tight right now. And on top of that, I was just like, because I was never a huge fan of the Parappa series. I like them. I think they're good. But, yeah. I think it could have used a different protagonist, is all I'm saying. Remember what I said earlier? Yeah. Really, I should... there are so many things I should do, and yet none of them get done. Because I wind up trying to start one, I get inspired by another, I get tired of working on one, and it's all dumb. Like I said, this whole thing is non-profit, so there's no real point to me pushing forward and doing this stuff. Though in a lot of ways, I appreciate the radio show. Like, cripes, I need to find a way to get that online, because every week I show up and I do essentially a Metabble that no one can listen to, that very few people are capable of listening to, and they all want it online. And it would be fantastic if I could do that, but unfortunately, the nature of podcasts are retarded. Because there's no podcasts for YouTube. And I understand, people being like, I want to download this as a podcast. But it costs money to upload a podcast, unlike a YouTube video. It's very weird. I guess because it's hard to just interject ads into the middle of a podcast the same way you can with a video. I'm going to guess that's what the problem is. But yeah, I don't know. I want to produce something, though. I want to get something out there. Hopefully, this, nearly hour and a half, 2 hours of me just rambling will entertain somebody, or it might bore you to tears. I don't fucking know. It was definitely interesting letting myself get unhinged and bitch about PC gaming. I need to better organize my thoughts, but me trying to do anything on PC winds up taking 9 fucking hours. That's not an exaggeration, because, one time I was like, I want to play Dungeon Fighter with a fucking controller, and it took me 9 hours to figure out why that wasn't. Oh, yeah, do you know what the problem was? Do you know what the problem... Stupidest thing, Microsoft, you fucks! Ugh. The problem is that sometimes when you plug in a USB controller, it will register as controller 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. I found out I was using controller number 18, and Dungeon Fighter only registers controller number 1, and this is not a unique problem. This happens with a lot of old games. Saints Row 2 actually does this as well. So what you have to do, because there is no way, no program has been produced to reassign what controller port number you're using. You have to go into the control panel. You have to go into, human interface devices, show devices not in use, and unplug all your USB controllers and uninstall every single USB controller. Right-click, uninstall, right-click, uninstall, right-click, uninstall. Then, after all of that, plug your controller back in, and it will be controller 1 now. And that's the only way to fucking do it. And what's even weirder is that it's different depending on the computer I use. I don't have this issue on my crap top. Or rather, I rarely have this issue on my crap top. It's running the same OS as my good computer. But my good computer does this a lot. You know what else my good computer does? I can't use my graphics card. I have to use a built-in Intel one. I have an NVIDIA GeForce 840M. I'm on a laptop, so that's pretty good for a laptop, especially one I bought years ago. So I've got an NVIDIA graphics card on this, and it worked fine for a while. Then just one day, anytime I tried to view or edit any streaming video, it would just give me a black screen in the video box. And people, of course, are like, well, update your graphics card. Did that. Uninstall and reinstall your graphics card. Did that. Uninstall and reinstall Windows. Fuck you, get dicked. No. That should not be standard fucking issue. And I know it is for PCs, but it shouldn't be. Fuck you. Turns out, what I had to do was just turn off the fucking graphics card. With the graphics card turned off, everything works fine. Slower, not as good, but fine. I turn the graphics card on, we start having issues again. And the graphics card, by the way, works. It enhances the visuals of the games, makes the computer run much faster. I just can't do video editing with it. This happened, by the way, years ago. This is why people think I have a crap computer when I actually have a really nice one. It's an Intel i7. Again, I bought it years ago. Intel Core i7, NVIDIA GeForce 840M. I forget how many gigs of RAM it has, but it has plenty of gigs of RAM. It is actually a very meaty machine for a laptop that was bought quite a few years ago. But I can't use the graphics card because it shat the bed. And it's not broken. That's the thing. I explain this to people. It's like, oh, sounds like you need to get a new computer. This broke after a couple months. And it's not broken. It's just retarded. which is how I describe most computers. They're just retarded. And I know, and here's the thing, this happened years ago. I tried uninstalling and reinstalling the graphics card again. I tried updating the graphics card again. Still has the same problem. I have no clue what is causing this. There is no information on the internet, and any that is there, most of the responses are just going to be, oh, sounds like your graphics card broke. No, the graphics card is working. It just will not display streaming video for reasons beyond my feeble human comprehension. And this is why I hate PCs so fucking deeply, because every single time I try to play fucking anything on a PC, bull crap like this happens. And that's not even getting into the hiccups that PC gamers keep denying exists. Because all the time, like ever since Windows 95, let's be honest here, didn't have this problem with DOS, didn't have this problem with Windows 3.1. But anytime after Windows 95, when I am running a game, there are times where it will just pause and hiccup. Any game, any PC, anywhere. And PC gamers will constantly say, oh, that sounds like a problem with your computer. No, it happens on every computer and every game. You're just fucking denying it. It drives me up the wall. Like, that'll happen with Freedom Planet. My computer is more than powerful enough to run Freedom Planet, but sometimes Freedom Planet will just pause for a second because computers do that. Because random hiccups happen in the background. Yeah, do you know how often computers these days will have their, like, hard drive usage fly up to 100%, and I finally got sick of it. I'm like, what the crap? My CPU is barely being used. Everything is barely being used. My hard drive usage is at 100%. Looked up on the internet. Oh, there's two, like, indexing services that Windows runs that are fucking broken, and you have to disable them. The other problem is Flash, and what the fuck happened to Flash? I remember when Flash used to be good, but now all of a sudden Flash is so bad that everyone is cutting support for it. What the fuck? How did this happen? Why did this happen? Because, yes, Flash will utilize 100% of your hard drive. Why? Why? And that's one of the many problems with PCs. Just randomly some component will get an update that causes your entire machine to just shatter and everything on it to stop working. There's so many problems with PC gaming. Like, it's as bad as console gaming has become. I still, with a PS4, for the most part, I pop in a disc and the game works. I get this less often with VR because they usually have a lot of updates. But with most games, I pop in a disc and it works. It just works. And I miss those days. I miss when games just fucking worked. When there was one set standard way that games were supposed to look, when everything ran the same and smoothly. Like, I literally don't know how to review a PC game because so many problems can just be caused by having a bad setup or just the game not agreeing with your system. I mean, I would assume the way to do it is to have a high-end and a low-end setup and see how it plays between the two. But yeah, like, fuck me. PC gaming is, I just hate it. I hate the elitist attitude of PC gamers. I hate the complete lack of acknowledgement that consoles have ever had any worth. I hate their complete ignorance of the importance of consoles throughout gaming history. I hate the PC game design mindset, because there's a completely different mindset between making a PC game and making a console game. They are very, very different. PC games tend to be much deeper, more complex, and nuanced, but less reflex heavy. Whereas console games are all about simple, easy to pick up and play controls that require a lot of timing-based skill and reflexes. That's how I differentiate them. And if you're going to say, like, I normally am nice about this, but if you're going to say, are you saying PC gamers have no reflexes? Well, Yahtzee sucks at Sonic, that's for damn sure. Holy crap, if you have... No, just Yahtzee has no reflexes. Yahtzee has no reflexes. There, I'm putting that out there. Putting that out there. Not saying he's bad at games. I'm saying he has no reflexes and can't play console games because he's too much of a PC gamer. Fuck you. I'm so fucking fed up with PC gamers right now. So fucking fed up. Because it's as always, PCs are so good. Oh, consoles are so crap, with just no acknowledgments of any of their importance. I am more than willing to acknowledge the importance of PC gaming, the vast multitude of different kinds of PCs that existed back in the ancient times. And to acknowledge the importance of their different play style. Because I like deep simulations. There are certain games I'd never play on a console. You don't play Creatures on a console. You don't play the fucking Sims on a console. I have nothing but respect for modding and the ability to enhance and improve ancient games in order to keep them fresh and modern. The modding ability alone is enough to blow my mind, and Steam has saved PC gaming in such amazing ways. But fuck me, I hate PC gamers just because of their sheer vitriol towards console gamers. And unfortunately, too many console gamers are too stupid to make a good argument in favor of consoles. Every time, they always start by bashing PCs. No, PCs are not worse than consoles. They can't be worse than consoles because they are upgradable and modular and can infinitely improve upon themselves. That's the beauty of the PC. The beauty of the console is that it is a closed system, that it is consistent, that it is dependable, that it is reliable, that every single PlayStation 4 runs like a PlayStation 4. Every PlayStation 4 Pro runs like a PlayStation 4 Pro, every Xbox One runs like an Xbox One, and every Wii U runs like a Wii U, every Switch runs like a Switch. The games will have the same frame rate on all of the systems. They will run just as well on all of the systems, and above all of that, you just pop the game in, and it should, unless someone is an incompetent fuckwit who needs to be fired, because I am fucking going there. It should just let you pop in a damn disc, and the game should work. 100%, no problems, pop it in and go, and your game will run just as well as everyone else's game runs, making it much easier to review, by the way, because if there are horrible frame rate issues and slowdowns and hiccups and pop-in, everyone is experiencing those exact same technical issues. It's not your fault. It is indeed the fault of shitty developers. And you know what? I appreciate that. I appreciate that so deeply. Because developers should stop being shitty and make good console games. And yes, port fucking everything to PC. Let the PC gamers have something to play. I have nothing wrong with that. I would love it if we could be unified in this, but we cannot be. And it just drives me nuts, and it makes me sad because no one's going to make a real console. Well, I don't know. Because we're at such a weird point right now where there's no point to consoles anymore that's why I'm like, they need to have VR standard. Because the reason why the PlayStation VR is the most successful, real VR system, not strapping a cell phone to your face, most successful real VR system, is because it's cheap, and because you don't have to worry about if your PC is VR ready. VR is very system intensive, and those PC signature hiccups are very bad on VR games, and it can be a complete mess when it comes to trying to play VR games on your PC. But with the PlayStation VR, you just you hook it up to your PS4 and it will work and it will run at 60 FPS, or Sony won't allow the game to be released. That might mean that the graphics look like trash garbage, but it will work, and I love it for that. And before anyone says anything about, but you gotta upgrade to the Pro, no, you don't. That is a myth put about because the PlayStation 4 Pro is trash garbage. No joke. Like, the Pro enhancements are very, very, very minor. I am on a regular PS4. I am not buying a Pro, like, ever, okay? And, yeah, the PSVR runs fine. A lot of games look good. Some of them, a little blurry, you know. I know the resolution's better if you play on Pro, but they all have to run at a solid 60 FPS, or Sony will not allow it. So, yeah, that's where we're at with that. That's why I'm like, having VR for all 3D polygonal games be a standard built-in feature would be good for consoles, and if not that, then more of them going the Nintendo Switch route would be good, because I think the way Nintendo has hybridized the portable and the console is actually a really good idea. Now, if only Nintendo would release their 3DS games on the Switch. The lack of backwards compatibility with other portables is a huge mistake. It makes me sad because I really, really, really want to play Ever Oasis, but I don't really want to play it on 3DS, and I'd love to play it on TV, and money's been short, so I haven't been able to pick it up, but I really want to play Ever Oasis. And yeah, same thing with Cul-de-Sac. Like, the fact that the new Cul-de-Sac is on 3DS and not the Switch drives me completely up the wall. I'll pick it up, but why aren't you on Switch? You're Cul-de-Sac. Be on Switch. I know it's because it was released before the Switch came out, but it drives me nuts that we aren't just, that every 3DS game isn't just instantly getting ported to the Switch. Because they all should be. It'd be fantastic. That's why I'm not playing my Switch very much, because it doesn't have enough 3DS games on it. So yeah, that's where I am. It's nuts. It's all very nuts. What was I going to say? Anything else? I think I'm good. I know Dreamcast Day is coming up, and I don't know what I'm doing for that. I'll probably just hook up my Dreamcast and stream it. Maybe I'll play some Sonic Adventure 1. Because I know that's way better on Dreamcast than it is on any other system. I haven't played, like, the original Sonic Adventure 1 in years, like, on the actual Dreamcast where it runs right. Because every version of the Director's Cut is apparently bad. Even the 360 one, even the PS3 one, even the PC one. There's, like, mods for the PC one to try to get it on par with the Dreamcast release, but the Dreamcast release is better. So I need to sit down with the Dreamcast release, spend some time with that. And, yeah. Maybe spend some time chow gardening. Yep. I'm gonna try to get a review out of something, fucking anything. It's gonna be a crapshoot, but thank you so much for listening. I hope this utterly unhinged ranting has entertained someone. And, yeah. I'll try. As soon as I can get those fucking episodes up, you will be flooded with old-ass video game news that you won't want to listen to. Oh, it's gonna be so pointless. I'm thinking maybe I should work backwards. Maybe I should, put up the newest episode and then work on getting the old episodes up. I don't know. We'll see how we can arrange them. But I will, actually, no, that is what I'm going to do. I will put the newest episode up and then go back and work on episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of Game Babble Live. Because that just seems like it makes the most sense. Yeah, that sounds good. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I will try to edit all this together. I have no clue what I'm going to do about some background music. I don't know if I have background music long enough. I'll figure something out. Thanks for listening. Catch you later. Sorry about all the streams instead of, like, actual shit. One more thing. It's kind of pointless to mention, but yeah. I actually spent 2 weeks. This game came out called Grimoire, which was, like, sort of an alternate Wizardry 8. It's a long-ass story. Apparently the game was in development for, like, 25 years. And it just made me remember how good Wizardry 8 was, so I downloaded that again, and I remembered how frustrated I was at the character portraits, because I really love Lizardmen, but all the Lizardmen portraits are trash, and the fact that that game lets you have ninja fairies is awesome, but all the fairy portraits are trash. And I found out you could mod in your own portraits. I was gonna, like, pay someone to draw good portraits, but I was short on money and having a hard time finding someone, and it was taking too long, so I just drew it myself, because when you take my garbage-ass art and shrink it down to, 90 by 72? It starts looking pretty alright. So I spent 2 weeks making character portraits. I made too many character portraits. I only needed 6, but I just kept going because I kept getting inspiration. I've made, like, 15 different character portraits, completely custom, and I've been meaning to stream that, so that might happen. That might be entertaining. Keep in mind, I never actually got anywhere in Wizardry 8. I played a little bit of it, never really got anywhere, don't actually know much about playing the game, but the heck if I didn't make quite a bunch of interesting original characters do not steal. Actually, you could totally steal. So that might be entertaining. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Keep an eye out for that stream if it happens ever. I'll try to get some episode done. I've got a lot of scripts just sitting here. And I want to get something that I actually put the Game Babble intro sequence onto. Who knows what it'll be? A VR game, an anime, a cartoon. It could be. Maybe even a rant, because I know one of them, the rant about how no one knows anything about video games, I'm thinking I might just label that a proper Game Babble because fuck you. So, I will probably do that. Thanks again for listening. And yeah. I had a drink.